Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be looking at an interesting game that was played on the Fox Go server between two top-level professionals. The two players in this game are Black is Wang Xinghao, who according to GoRatings.com is now the second player in the world behind Lian Xiao, which also means he's the number one player in China. And his opponent, who is white, in this game is Lian Xiao, who is number 21 in the world. So another top professional. And also, normally, my interesting games that are played on Fox between professionals have been just casual games that, maybe they're having fun, experimenting, whatever it may be, right? This game, however, while it was played on Fox and wasn't like an officially broadcasted tournament or anything like that, I'm not sure the specifics, but it's labeled as a championship game on Fox. I think I see almost every day one or two championship games played amongst the top professionals. And so this is actually a slow professional game on Fox, even though it is, I don't know if it is casual. I don't know how important this championship is on Fox, but regardless, we get a 30-minute main time with three 30-second Byoyomi periods. So we get a slow, methodical game on Fox as opposed to the usual 15-second games to look at. Which means this game is maybe equally as complicated, but a lot more difficult to digest what they're thinking about or what they're doing. And so I wanted to look at this game because this game has a lot of decision-making. There's a lot of decision-making that I would just not have considered in my own games. And so figured that's the perfect game to show to all of you. So without further ado, let's look at this game. And with most games, there's always the calm before the storm. So their openings, very standard. White just kicks, gets some territory, and Black just extends. White approaches. Black plays the Shimari. Not Shimari, the diagonal. Shusaku's diagonal. And then White approaches. And again, you can do this. You can leave. To all the less experienced players, you can always leave an approach. Because you never know right now what you want. Do you want to play this one? Do you want to play this one? I guess in this case, there's mainly three options here, but maybe sometimes here, you don't know what you want to do yet. Because it might depend on what your opponent's doing. So before I decide, I'm going to wait for maybe my opponent to decide for me. So that's why you can leave it here, or leave it at this stage. Especially when extending up top could be gote. So White just approaches, and this makes perfect sense. Once you get any sort of joseki, like in the lower left, the bottom side gets irrelevant for both sides. And so it wouldn't make sense in this case for Black to do the diagonal because this direction for Black is not very good. So Black pincers, which again makes sense, especially with the diagonal. White shoulder hits, and Black just slides along the bottom. And again, here, I said you could leave it here. And again, White could leave it in this case, but after doing these exchanges, right, White's gotten a little heavier. And so in this case, this would be where I would expect White to play maybe a move out here, maybe this one. Basically, it's something to help this group. But White says, no, I'm just gonna protect my corner. Which again, here, I would be thinking about jumping, or since I do have a stone at R8, maybe shoulder hitting here. But Black just says, okay, I will approach the upper left. Basically saying any move I do here might be gote, and then you getting this extension not only solidifies the upper left a little bit, but also puts pressure on the left side. So Black plays there. And then White's next move is very shocking to me, because as I was just saying, okay, well, White's next move, this one makes sense. White's next move here. Because Black just kicked, which if White doesn't answer, White can be weak. And White also has weak stones here. But White decides to jump in. And Jumping in, I'll just say, is just not what I would consider here. Just because, once again, I have potentially 3 weak groups. And while black stone here is weak, when black helps the stones here, it weakens not only the stone I just played, but my stones here. And so white answers. And black says, okay, you're going to keep ignoring, then I'm going to ignore. And again, I'm a broken record at this point, but it is true. You got to be a stubborn Go player. And so you have to try your best not to answer your opponent as much as possible. As much as possible. Even if that means losing a few stones here and there, you have to be stubborn because you have to try to control the game. And controlling the game means sente. So even if your opponent's trying to play sente, you got to be like, I don't believe you. My move is sente. And that's where you'll get these games where black played here, or black played here, white stood up, black played here, and then white goes elsewhere. So, yeah, in that sense, the moves here make sense. Just the initial idea here to split was kind of strange to me. But you see, since white is ignoring here, white doesn't want to just continue, make the group even heavier while black profits, right? This would be just making your group heavier, and now it's harder to give up the bottom side. So white just says, okay, you can have it while I profit up top, or in the upper right, I mean. So white takes his shape point, black covers, and then white, what would that be? Threatens to cut, creates cutting points, yeah. So black fixes, and so white got some profit in the corner. But black says, okay, I'm going to profit in my corner. And sure, if you just look at the board or look in the lower right, there is no way that black doesn't keep the lower right, no matter what happens. For sure, right? There's no way white gets in there foreshadowing. Okay, so white jumps. Again, got to help the stone there. Black jumps. And then black fixes. Black fixes here, even though it means later white can hane here, which is big, whereas if you went here, this isn't sente anymore. The reason why black fixed here instead is if you fix here, this move becomes sente. So black doesn't want white to get this descent in sente. So that's why black fixes here. Now this move is not so much sente. Not so much sente. Even if it is sente, black can answer by going here. And so it's slightly better, I think. But then white comes in. And this makes sense because white does have some stones here. Although, again, can't call it thickness, but white does have some stones here where if black runs out, black runs in this direction, black will be running into some white stones. And I love black's next move because something I have seen many times and have been dealt with many times is kick into pincer, right? Something like this. And at this point, what is the move for black? Well, while there are some moves you can play like this one, this is the most common preparing to shoulder hit here. If white fixes here, I can shoulder hit. And this creates lots of bad aji in the corner if black's able to get e16. So, yeah, so usually white will answer, but in this case, black would cap, and white's going to be very weak here. So, but if we do this one, and we just jump, and white jumps with, well, now we can technically still shoulder hit, but it just won't be as good because in a second, we're going to have to fix our shape. So now we have to fix our shape somehow, maybe something like this. And then white's going to get the first move on the left side. So we kind of lost tempo a little bit in the way we played. Even though we did reduce white up top, white got basically 3 unanswered moves on the left side. And now our left side, it's kind of the case reversed on the right side. On the right side, white had 2 weak groups to black's 1 weak group. But in this case, white has 1 weak group to our potentially 2 black weak groups. So to keep tempo, black plays here. And I love this move. I love this move. Because white can't really threaten to split because this is the stone that matters. This stone at d11 is what matters. So like if white tries to do this to split, okay, well you're just damaging your stone here. So, and black's able to keep tempo. Because if white jumps, now instead of going here once, black can immediately shoulder hit. And this is what happens in the game. And so it's almost as if white had kicked, and then we played g14. So the next chance I get, I'm going to play here. if I get pincered like that without getting kicked, I'm going to play here. Yeah, such a cool move. Such a cool move. And again, at the time, maybe it's like, oh, that's kind of strange. But once you dissect it, this one does make sense. It's for black to keep tempo. White has to jump, and then black gets the shoulder hit anyways. White covers. And even this, the crazy thing about this is all these stones are light. And so black actually just goes elsewhere and says, white, if you try to attack me, how are you going to, get a good result? So what happens is black hanes, Atari's connects. White could fix this cut, but this would be too painful because we're not actually alive on the upper side. So this would be way too painful. So white covers. This makes perfect sense. But then black saves the stone. And now after black jumps here, white's right side is getting surrounded. And again, this comes back to all the way back here. Black's planning when black goes here. Because imagine black had done this, right? And then let's say white split. We do the same exact thing. Not saying they would, but just for example. We get this. Like this. Because black hasn't played this move, that means white going here helps white's group a lot more. The fact that white's able to get this move in pretty much sente, and I'm not even sure the best way to fix. If black descends, because if black descends, white can even descend with black, and even if black tries to surround, if you cut, there's nothing. But if you clamp, there is something there, and all of a sudden, black is pretty weak too. So, yeah, if you fix like this, white gets the Atari, and can even Atari or fix. So you can see white gets a lot of forcing moves this way. But black had the idea of splitting white. So white, or even attacking white. So black doesn't want to give white this forcing move. So it makes perfect sense with what black was playing up top, or in the upper right. And here, I'm looking at this shape here for white. And again, you don't want to offer a trade like doing something like this, black fixes, and trying to attack the top, because it's just so light. How can you... Like, black's right side is super solid. Like, that is cash. But how can you get a good enough result here when black can run out in this direction? Black can go into the corner. There's push and cut Aji here. These two stones are weak. It's just very difficult. So white has to find something here. White has to find something here. And so white's next move... White's next move, by the way, is probably going to be the thumbnail. So if you've seen the thumbnail of the video, you might know what the next move is. But yeah, white's next move, again, you give me 30 minutes and I may not be able to find this move. Because it's just not intuitive. It's just not intuitive. Like, I can see that there's push and cut Aji and even this Aji, but it just doesn't work. And so, okay, maybe I can go here. If I go there, I'm still pretty deep inside black's area there. And okay, I can peep, but it doesn't really get me much. Or if black covers, again, I'm getting sealed in. But white's next move is so cool. So cool. So see if you can see it. Again, if you've seen the thumbnail, you can put in the comments anyways that you found it. I'll give you credit. But yeah. Yeah, white's move, white plays here. And oh my goodness, this move is so cool. So cool. Yeah, basically it is threatening everything I was just saying, but also being more direct on this stone. So for example, if black hanes, and there's an order here that matters. So maybe white will directly play this one. If black covers, white actually has just captured the two stones, just like that. White goes down, still black maybe can capture some stones, but white saves the group. So if black keeps pushing through, cover, connect, you can see white again saves a majority of the group. And again, black still hasn't sealed off the left side or the right side. So that's kind of what this move is doing. That's what the move is doing. Whereas if you peep here and black covers, now there's less of that Aji. And if you go here and black fixes, it's less direct. Whereas if you go here and black does fix, we're able to hane next, like this. And again, talk about crazy or taking sente. Black Atari's here. Where does white play? Clearly white answers, and then black can answer back here. Nope, white Atari's here. And so let me ask you actually, because this is a dilemma. What is bigger, saving our stone or taking white stone? What is bigger? What is bigger? If you were black, what would you do? What would you do? Well, my opinion is skewed because I know what happens in the game. So I will not answer. But in the game, black fixed is black fixed. Yes, black fixed. And I think it has to do with we still want to attack the right side. So even if we can get some profit here, opponent key in the center of the board is worth 30 points. And yeah, again, even though we can probably get something up top from it, the whole right side disappearing is also quite bad. So yeah, black just answers. White connects. Yeah, white even connects once. So even giving black another chance to take. But again, this would be too big. So black answers, and then white answers. So yeah, black fixes. White turns. Hane, fix, cut. And this is perfect timing for white to Atari here. Because if you fix first, so what happens is white Ataris and then fixes. If you fix first and black does something else, now this stone here does not have any value. It's not a cutting stone. It's not threatening anything. So black could just treat it lightly. Something like this or something, right? This is just for example. But by Ataring first, and we haven't fixed here yet, now black kind of has to fix it. And so we're able to really force black to save J14 when really black doesn't really care about J14. It only matters because of this cut, and once we fix, now there's a weakness at G13. So this is a very good order of moves. This is where you got to be careful about if A, B, C, just play C. This is not that. Because you might think, okay, if I'm going to play A, B, C, I should just play C. But in this case, we're making sure black cares about J14. Normally, you don't do that because you want to leave the exchanges on the board. But in this case, we actually want to make the exchange now because the order of the moves does matter in this case. So, yeah. Goes there, black peeps. And this is very nice because, again, there is a cut here. And black doesn't want to just fix like this because, again, it's a little too, how should I put it, caring about everything too much. Like, for example, if white were to play here, this has already fixed this cut good enough, and white would be heavy. Because even though white can cut, again, we're not going to try to save everything because now we're weak. But if we treat that cutting stone lightly, notice we can still stay connected while surrounding these three stones. So this is a very nice peep. And this is actually a good shape you want to know, and it actually comes up later as well. If you want to if you want to make a tiger's mouth, I should say, play one further. And the idea is if white pushes, it's going to force me to play here. This comes up later in the lower right as well. So just keep that in mind. So if you want to make a tiger's mouth, play one further because it's more efficient that way. And if your opponent pushes, it'll force you to make the shape anyways. But yeah, so because of that, white can't connect because black would just attack everything. So white attaches here. White attaches here. And black says, okay, I'm just going to push through and give up the lower left, basically. And I say give up, but obviously you can still run out. And this is where I like remember how black played R15 instead of S16? Because black was looking to attack the right side. Well, the reason why black was so, I'll say quick to go here, although black definitely spent some time thinking about it, is black had a plan in mind. And we're going to see that plan. And also it comes back to what I was saying earlier about being stubborn. Like, hey, I'm playing a forcing move. No, my move's forcing. Well, no, my move's forcing. Well, then I get my forcing move. Okay, then I get mine. So, yeah, it has to do with that too. It's just try to get your follow-ups. But black's plan here is to go here. Okay. A little anticlimactic. I forgot that exchange was there. White covers there. Because the reason why white feels they have to go there is if black jumps, let's say black went here, right? White actually needs to live on the left side still, because if white goes elsewhere, let's say white takes here. And I don't think that's sente. But even let's just say it's not sente. Black can attack the left side still. Black can attack the left side still. And now white would have a case of a weak group here and a weak group here. Yeah. So the fact that black can attack the left side is why white wants to jump here if white's able to. But black gets to Atari, connect, white goes here, and then we see black's plan, which is h16. And this is why black was so okay with just cutting through this one space jump. Because you might be thinking, well, isn't giving up the entire lower left smaller? Or giving it up is, yeah, giving it to white is bigger than what I got in the center. But black was planning h16, because look at the board right here. Is there really, if white just pushes through like this, right, and lets black, let's just say, for example, take the top, is there any chance for white to counterattack or do anything with pushing through here? No. It's because black is so solid here. But imagine a world where, let's say, do this, do this, do this, something, right? Don't know the exact variation, but let's just say, for example, we do the same thing, and then black tries to attack here, right? Well, now, even though black gets to play up top, black has issues on the other side now, because now white has the stones in the center. And in a game like this, black's stones in the center are actually isolated now. So even though black takes the stones up top, the center is so weak. So black is preparing to play h16, which is why black was okay with just pushing through here. So that's where, like, black didn't know per se white was going to jump here, right, or ignore this move, because white could have just gone here like this, would have gone here, and then okay, now my stone there has less value, but I would be able to get something else. So yeah, very, very nice, kind of black sticking to a game plan here, or all of black stones kind of working together. And we get into, without going into every single variation here, just know white is low on liberties, which is the problem here. So white goes there, white pushes through, again, not really chance for counterattack, white cuts, black wedges here. This is asking white, what do you care about? Because you could go here, and this would basically allow me to treat the, or be able to make an eye there anytime, so then I could just go after the corner now. Just go after the corner. But when you connect, okay, I don't have eyes now, but I can wedge and connect. Because even if you connect here, I can extend. And you cannot cut me because you're low on liberties. So white has to play here to prevent that, even though it allows black to cut. Black hanes, cover, and connect, cut. And so just know white is just low on liberties here. Anything white or black is doing is because white's low on liberties. Yeah, so black Ataris, white can't connect, of course. So white takes, black takes, white fixes in the corner, and black goes here. This is a very important move. You would like to find a better move. Like, you would like to take this eye out, but actually white has all the stones nearby to just be able to connect through. Even though white's very low on liberties, something will work here for white. So black has to go here. White stands up. Black Ataris, white connects. Black pushes here, white covers, and then black covers. And so the idea is black is not yet alive if white goes here, but white does not have enough liberties to fight. Does I even think going here? Just do this one. Yeah, white doesn't have enough liberties to fight this. So white has to come out first. Yeah, white has to come out first, which black has a issue here because black would like to go here, but then it would become a semi-eye. If black just covers, though, white can live. And so black leaves it because also, if, let's say black goes here, black has to be careful because all of a sudden, the left side is weak. Even though it felt like black took the entire top side, you have to remember there's always a back and forth and go, right? There's always exchanges happening. So even though black took the top, white was able to break through here, and now the entire left side is separated. So that's why in the game, black hanes here, so black's still alive. So that's why white lived, and then black just lives there. And then white goes after the center. Because again, even though white got horrible shape here, and got squeezed to oblivion, black actually got cut up as well. So even though black took the top, black's two other groups are weak as well. So despite everything that happened, it's still a game. And this is the move I was referring to where white would like to fix this shape. But then black would just fix and it's okay. But that's where, if you want to play the tiger's mouth, you can play one further. Because if they push, we're okay. Because they're forcing us to make this shape. So that's another example of that kind of sequence. Go there. Black jumps. Got to be careful here. Because when you're very low on liberties, you have to be cautious of dying through means such as ladders or nets, those kind of things. So black actually could think about going here. Now, if you just cut, you're not really going to accomplish much. Again, you're just going to weaken the center, but you might be able to go here. And notice if white connects either way, you're going to die. But black only has 2 liberties themselves. White can Atari. And this will go to white's 2 stones here. So that's why white's actually safe here. That's where actually, normally you don't want to run with scissors. And I tell my students that all the time. AKA, you don't want to run in the center with knight's moves because you can get cut. So don't run with scissors. But in this case, you're fixed because it's okay. Because of reading, that's why. So when black jumps here, you would like to do this, but this would allow black to... Now there's no ladder. And yeah, there'd be problems. So white has to fix by going here. Black has to fix here. Yep, because black themselves have a knight's move. So they have scissors. So they would like to jump, but there's immediate problems with this kind of move. Cutting across the knight's move. If you go here, even if you can capture, I'm going to split through, or if you connect, I'm going to be able to connect. Though maybe not that way. Yeah, just going here, yeah. So, yes. So that's why black fixed, and white could go there. Black attaches. And black strongly hanes here. I would be... I'd be very scared to hane because white Ataris and cuts. And it's crazy because white has so many cuts in their shape. That I would think something has to kind of fail here for white, but everything just magically is working for white, and it is kind of remarkable in that sense. And also, if you look here, especially if you look somewhere like before this fight, like let's say white just did something else. You look at this lower left, you look at the right side, lower right. You would think, okay, white's going to get the left side, black's going to get the lower right, right? Well, again, this is where top professionals, or even just any professional strong players, know how to exchange territories. So we'll see that. Go there. White just connects. White just connects because if you play this one, there's going to be problems with peep and then peep here. So white just connects. White plays here. And while this does leave, or while this does destroy white's shape, it actually fixes white's shape too, because it forces white to fix the cut here. And again, black would like to go here, but there's no ladders here. No ladders. So black clamps, white connects, black goes here. And then white's next move might seem strange. But once I explain it and you see it, it'll hopefully make some sense. Because we want to attack this group, right? We want to attack the center. We don't want to just go like guns blazing, because we have, if you go all out like that, oftentimes it can backfire. So you don't want to go all out in a lot of cases. So even in this situation here, I'm just going to ask a question. Are there any nearby black groups that we can threaten? Yes or no? And obviously upper right safe. So the only other group could be the lower right. So white plays here. So what is this move trying to do? The idea with this move is if black cuts, now when we go after black, we have almost forced black to play in a way that maybe they won't later. So if black tries to, let's say, seal us in, we're going to be able to capture these stones, which is ginormous because we have already cut. But let's say we haven't cut and we do the same exact thing. Well, now, maybe black can find a different move besides connecting. Maybe black can do this one, right? Black can still keep the pressure on white here. So that's why white goes here now. And this is such good timing. This is such good timing. And black knows this, so black doesn't answer. Black goes here. And white saves the stones. And white keeps on task. So again, if you connect here, obviously, you're still going to have problems. So white goes there. Black covers, Hane. Black covers there, yep. White extends. And black Hane's here. Because the idea with the Hane is if you Hane back, let's say like this, and I fix, you have cut here to worry about, cut here, cut here. White's actually in a lot of danger. So instead, white cuts. Because if black connects, we'll get to capture. But if white Ataris, we'll be able to capture these stones. Which again, this is good profit. We can Atari here next, get into the corner. Black's still not alive. So what is black's plan? Black's plan is when white Atari's here to fight this ko. And again, I cannot, well, I don't know, is it overstate, understate? I cannot say how huge of a ko this is. This is a humongous ko. Because black is still not alive in the center. But if black wins the ko, white is not alive in the right side. So, yeah, black has to find a good threat. Now, thankfully, black does have a threat. Atari here, yes. White just goes here, because this has to do with a term called a cofactory, where if you answer once, like this, you gave your opponent a ton more co-threats. A ton more co-threats, because now this is a threat. And if that works, then this is a threat. And now even white's getting cut off here. So white just Ataris, saying, okay, that stone's irrelevant for the sake of the ko. Black extends, and white actually just fills. White just fills. So I'm curious why black doesn't take at least once. Yeah, I'm not sure. Does black think... So for example, let's say white goes here as a threat. If black doesn't answer this, let's say black takes, right? Yeah, black takes. Let's say we go here, black cuts, then we kill. Yes, we need an extra move. And then black, let's say, extends, and we connect. Does losing the top, is taking the right side smaller than taking the top? I'm not sure. So I'm actually not sure why black doesn't fight a little bit. Because if you look at the board here, where's white's threat? Where's white's threat? Because like I don't think just capturing these two stones is big enough. Even if you can capture, Ataring here helps the group there live. So I'm not sure though. I am not sure. Black extends, white connects, black takes, and white fills. Might look like a weird way to fill, but you did need to fill somehow because if you don't, Atari into cut. So back goes there, white covers. And then again, this is again where I'm sure there's a lot of deep reading going on. So I'm not claiming to know perfectly what's going on, but I'm not sure why black goes here. Because in the game, white just covers. And I'm looking and I'm like, does something not work here for black? Because white can't cover because white doesn't have enough liberties in the center. And white does not have a lot of liberties here either. So if white descends, there's still problems. Black can still go here, I guess. I guess you can do this one. But if we cut... Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just perplexed. I really don't know. Again, I'm sure there is a reason. Just this case, I'm not sure. Black goes there and white just covers. And we see black doesn't even get the response to this. So, yeah, because black has to live in the center. So black says, okay, I need to live now. And black descends here, yes. White plays the belly. And just to get that in a forceful way, this is Sente against the group. Black covers, or black cuts. And we get this trade here. White gets to cut, and then... yeah, I guess... So the point of this move, by the way, is black was threatening to live anytime with this Atari. So that's why white goes here. But black cuts, and white can still save here. Connect and die, and then black covers. And because of these stones here, white cannot push and cut, because white doesn't have enough liberties. But after all that, we're now in endgame, right? Right, well, white attaches, which by itself is not a strange move, and cut, which, if you just connect, doesn't really accomplish much, but white has a plan of making this ko. So, is this white saying they know they're behind, or what? I'm not sure. Maybe they just counted ko threats. White goes there, that's pretty big. Black answers. Black peeps, that's pretty big. White threatens to come through, that's big. Black extends, makes the ko bigger. Black has to live. Black goes there. Yeah, this is a very nice ko threat because depending on how white plays, you're going to actually just get more threats. So for example, you could go to do this and white covers, but that's actually pretty much it ko threat wise. You can threaten another ko, but you don't want to usually trade kos for kos. Yeah, because if we take, and let's say white makes a ko threat, we can hane here, but again, you don't really want to trade kos for kos with this ko like this. Although maybe it's not a ko when we can connect there. Not super sure. Who has more liberties here? Okay, it'll be Iversnore. So maybe there is threats, but in general, this is almost like the Goblin's Nose, where by playing here, we're going to get more threats this way, and it limits the amount of liberties. And then white goes here, which again surprised me because one, isn't the lower right huge? Which it is, but also doesn't white have more threats? Right? I thought white had more threats. So for example, like white connecting here is a threat because of this push and cut here. So I'm not sure why white kind of dropped it there, but this is not small either. So black goes there. This might look like a peculiar move because the normal move would be okay if you're on the third line, just extend on the third line. But white has a very nice Tetsuji here to kind of get into black's area, which is not that one, J2. White can connect either way. So black has to play low to prevent that. And then we get the follow-up to this. And it's exciting for a second, but black just plays there. White just wanted this move, which white just wanted if black does something else. White would go here and then cut. And again, an order does matter here, but basically it's going to be another kind of ko-ish shape here. So that's why black just cuts when white descent, and then white captured there. So now the excitement is finished for the game. And now they're in endgame, and they play a few more moves. I'll go slowly through them. Atari fighting this ko a little bit. Capture, black peeps, Hane. But the end of the day, when white pushes here, black resigned. And I'm not actually sure the exact amount, but it is quite a bit actually. Yeah, it is quite a bit, at least comparatively for top professionals. Obviously, it was within Komi, but yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy game. Again, a lot of the decision-making in this game was very astounding in a good way, right? And they really prioritized. If you were going to take Sente, you better make sure your move is Sente. Yeah, so Very fun game. Very fun game. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed looking at it too. Yeah, if you have any questions about this game though, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next video.